Imagine yourself walking through a dense forest in the golden hour of late afternoon, the air thick and warm around your skin, carrying the earthy scent of dampened moss and decomposing leaves. Sunlight filters through the canopy above in soft, fractured beams, and you can hear the distant, gentle murmur of a stream somewhere beyond the trees. Your breathing has slowed to match the pace of the forest itself, each exhale blending with the stillness around you. You reach down and pick up a pinecone from the forest floor, its surface rough and cool beneath your fingertips. As you turn it slowly in your hands, you notice something almost musical about its pattern, a subtle rhythm in the way each scaled segment spirals upward, drawing your eye inevitably toward its apex. The weight of it settles in your palm, solid and ancient, and you feel the strange pull of having discovered something both familiar and impossibly profound. In the quiet contemplation of natural forms, there exists a mathematical whisper that has echoed through existence for billions of years, a rhythm so fundamental that it underlies the very architecture of life itself. This rhythm is known as the Fibonacci sequence, a deceptively simple progression of numbers that begins with 0 and 1, then unfolds according to an elegant rule. Each new number is simply the sum of the two numbers that came before it. 0, 1, 1, 2, 3, 5, 8, 13, 21, 34, 55, 89, 144. And so the sequence continues infinitely onward, each number stepping gently into the next like footsteps on an endless path. As you hold the pinecone in your hands, feeling its weight and texture, know that this simple mathematical rule has been at work in the wood and scales you touch, organizing and shaping growth for millions of years before humans ever learned to count. This sequence was discovered not in the forests or the oceans, but rather in the mind of an Italian mathematician named Leonardo of Pisa, called Fibonacci, who lived during the 12th and 13th centuries, approximately 800 years ago. He posed a problem to the world, a seemingly whimsical puzzle about rabbits breeding in an enclosed garden. But what he discovered in solving that puzzle was something far more profound and enduring than he could have imagined. The rabbit problem was merely a doorway, an entrance into a pattern that nature had been perfecting since long before humans walked the earth, perhaps since the very moment life itself began to organize from chaos into form. For centuries after Fibonacci set down his numbers, they remained largely a mathematical curiosity, beautiful but somewhat abstract, confined to the pages of treatises and the minds of scholars. Yet in the 19th and 20th centuries, something extraordinary began to happen. Artists, botanists, and naturalists, people who spent their time observing the natural world with patient attention, began to notice that this pattern, this sequence of numbers, appeared everywhere they looked in nature. It was as though the universe had been speaking in the language of Fibonacci all along, and humanity was only now learning to listen. Close your eyes for a moment and imagine the world with this knowledge, that beneath the apparent chaos and randomness around you, there exists an order so deep and so perfect that it seems almost conscious, almost intentional. When you open your eyes and see the Fibonacci sequence emerging in flower petals and spiral galaxies, in the branching of trees and the arrangement of pinecone scales, the world transforms into something almost dreamlike, where mathematics and beauty become indistinguishable from one another. And so we begin our journey through this mathematical wonderland, guided not by formulas or equations, but by the patient observation of how life itself chooses to arrange and organize its infinite expressions across the cosmos. The pinecone remains in your hand, warm now from your skin, waiting to teach you its ancient secrets. Nested within the Fibonacci sequence lies another profound mystery. A number so perfect that ancient peoples thought it divine, so present in nature that it seems woven into the very fabric of existence itself. The golden ratio, approximately equal to 1.618. This number emerges when you divide any Fibonacci number by the Fibonacci number that comes immediately before it. And as you progress further along the sequence, this ratio becomes increasingly stable and precise, approaching the golden ratio with a kind of inexorable mathematical inevitability. Imagine tracing your finger along a nautilus shell, cool, smooth, spiraling, that feeling of each curve nestling into the next, that sense of proportion and rightness beneath your fingertip, is the golden ratio made tangible. The ancient Greeks incorporated this proportion into the Parthenon, creating temples and sculptures with dimensions that honored this sacred mathematical relationship. Renaissance artists like Leonardo da Vinci became obsessed with the golden ratio, believing that it represented the key to divine beauty, the mathematical fingerprint of creation itself. Yet none of these human craftspeople invented the golden ratio. They merely discovered it, uncovered it like archaeologists excavating ruins, finding it already present in the world around them. The remarkable truth is that this number, 1.618, does not emerge from human preference or aesthetic tradition, but rather from the physics of growth itself. When a plant must decide how to arrange its leaves to maximize sun exposure, when a tree must determine the optimal angle for branching to ensure that no branch shadows another, when a flower must spiral its seeds to pack the maximum number into the smallest possible space, the golden ratio emerges as the solution, the answer that nature calculates through the slow process of evolution and selection, refining each generation toward greater efficiency and beauty. Consider for a moment the spiral of a nautilus shell, that beautiful and iconic form that has inspired artists and mathematicians for centuries. As the nautilus grows throughout its life, it adds new chambers to its shell in a very specific pattern, each new chamber approximately 1.618 times larger than the chamber that came before it. The result is a perfect logarithmic spiral, a shape that remains identical to itself at every scale, growing infinitely larger while maintaining its essential proportions. If you were to trace your finger along the spiral of a nautilus shell, starting from the smallest, innermost chamber near the creature's infancy, and following it outward to the largest chambers of its adulthood, you would be tracing a path that embodies the golden ratio, a mathematical journey that has been unfolding within that shell for millions of years. The shell is, in essence, a three-dimensional representation of the Fibonacci sequence, growth made visible, mathematics made tangible and beautiful. Hold this image in your mind: the patient spiral, the perfect proportions, the endless unfolding of growth according to a simple, eternal rule. There exists a flower of such profound mathematical elegance that it seems almost impossible that it emerged through the blind processes of evolution rather than through deliberate design. The sunflower Helianthus annus, a plant that has inspired artists, mathematicians, and dreamers for centuries. Sunflowers are perhaps the most famous and visually striking examples of Fibonacci patterns in nature, their seed heads displaying an intricate arrangement that seems to organize the very large number of seeds into spirals that wind both clockwise and counterclockwise, creating a visual rhythm so hypnotic that gazing upon it can induce something approaching a meditative state. The number of seeds in a sunflower's head varies depending on the size and health of the plant, but mature sunflowers typically contain seeds numbering in the hundreds. often between 1,000 and 2,000 individual seeds packed into that central disc. Yet within this seeming chaos, there exists a profound order. The seeds arrange themselves in two interlocking families of spirals, one set rotating clockwise and another rotating counterclockwise. The number of spirals in each direction follows, with remarkable consistency, the Fibonacci sequence itself. One might find 34 spirals in one direction and 55 in the other, or perhaps 55 and 89, or even 89 and 144. This is not a coincidence or a poetic fancy. This is the result of a simple but elegant growth process rooted in the mathematics of optimization. As the sunflower develops its seed head, new seeds are deposited at the center, and each new seed is positioned at an angle of approximately 137.5 degrees relative to the previous seed. This angle, known as the golden angle, is derived directly from the golden ratio, from that remarkable number 1.618. It is the angle that, when used repeatedly to position elements around a center point, creates the most efficient packing possible, leaving the least amount of wasted space, distributing resources with perfect fairness. The result is mesmerizing, a mathematical algorithm so simple, yet so profound in its consequences, that it produces patterns of breathtaking beauty. If you were to examine a sunflower seed head with a magnifying glass, tracing the spirals with your eyes or with your finger, you would be witnessing mathematics in its purest form, the physical manifestation of abstract principles that govern the expansion of space and the organization of matter. Each seed receives approximately equal amounts of sunlight, ensuring that no seed is shaded by its neighbor, and each is separated from its companions by the optimal distance to avoid competition for water and nutrients. The spiral arrangement is thus revealed to be not a decoration, but a solution, an answer to the problem of how to pack the maximum number of seeds into a given space, while ensuring that each receives its fair share of resources. The mathematics of beauty and the mathematics of survival are, in the sunflower, one and the same. As you walk deeper into the forest, your eyes become trained to see what you might previously have overlooked: the mathematical language written in wood and scale, in bark and branch. At every level of the plant's architecture, from the tiniest leaf to the largest branching structure, the Fibonacci sequence reveals itself as the organizing principle of growth. Consider the way a tree branches. The main trunk splits into two primary branches, which then each split into two more branches, which then each split again. If you were to count the number of branches at each level of division, you might find a pattern emerging that resonates with the Fibonacci sequence. Not every tree follows this pattern with perfect fidelity, and natural variations abound, but the tendency for branching patterns to approximate Fibonacci numbers is so consistent across species and environments that it cannot be dismissed as coincidence. The arrangement of leaves along a stem or branch, a property that botanists call phyllotaxis, represents perhaps the most extensively studied manifestation of Fibonacci patterns in plant growth. Each leaf emerges from the stem at a specific angle relative to the leaf that came before it, and in many plant species, this angle is approximately 137.5 degrees, the golden angle that we encountered in the sunflower. This leaf arrangement ensures that each leaf receives an optimal amount of sunlight without being overshaded by the leaves above it. The golden angle creates a spiraling arrangement where leaves are distributed around the stem in such a way that every leaf has access to sunlight, as though the plant has solved a complex geometric puzzle without conscious thought. Now turn your attention to the pinecone you may still be holding, or imagine one in your hands. A pinecone is a cluster of seeds arranged in an overlapping pattern, each scale or bract protecting a pair of seeds as they develop. Hold it to the light and watch how the scales catch the glow, each one overlapping just so. Close your eyes and feel the pattern. Your fingers trace spirals in both directions, 5 spirals ascending one way, 8 spirals descending in the other. This is not accident. This is whispered mathematics made of wood. If you were to count the spirals on a pinecone, and this is a meditative exercise that many people find surprisingly calming, you would find that the number of spirals ascending the cone in one direction follows one of the Fibonacci numbers, while the number descending in the opposite direction follows a different Fibonacci number. Most commonly, pinecones display 5 spirals ascending in one direction and 8 in the other, representing the Fibonacci pair 5 and 8. Other pinecones might display 8 and 13, or even 13 and 21, depending on the species and the individual variation. The pinecone's spiral arrangement serves the same purpose as the sunflower seed spirals, to maximize packing efficiency while ensuring that each seed receives adequate exposure to light and air. The overlapping scales protect the developing seeds within, while the spiral arrangement ensures that water flowing down the cone after rain is distributed evenly, reaching all the scales rather than collecting in pools. It is a system that solves multiple problems simultaneously, optimizing for space, for water distribution, for light exposure, and for structural stability. It is a design that no human engineer could improve upon without disrupting some other aspect of the system's function. Some of the most ancient pinecones, preserved in geological formations from tens of millions of years ago, show the same spiral Fibonacci patterns that we observe in modern pinecones. This continuity of pattern across deep time suggests that this arrangement represents not a fleeting innovation, but a fundamental solution to a problem of growth and organization that has remained constant throughout the evolutionary history of conifers. The ancient pinecones whisper across the ages, telling us that certain truths about optimal form remain eternally unchanged. Gently closing your eyes and imagining the flowers of a meadow or a garden, one begins to notice patterns in the number of petals that seem far too consistent to be random, too harmonious to be accidental. A lily, with its elegant and delicate form, typically bears 6 petals, which is not, in fact, a Fibonacci number, but rather twice 3. Suggesting that some flowers have adapted the Fibonacci principle into modified forms that still capture the essential logic of the pattern. Yet many other flowers display petal counts that are precisely Fibonacci numbers. The buttercup, that cheerful yellow flower found in meadows throughout temperate regions, typically has 5 petals. The columbine has 5 petals. The larkspur has 5 petals. The wild rose, that quintessential form that has been central to human art and symbolism for thousands of years, most often displays 5 petals. As we move further along the Fibonacci sequence, we find that larger and more complex flowers often display petal counts that correspond to larger Fibonacci numbers. The daisy family, those cheerful composite flowers that dot roadsides and fields, often displays petal counts of 34, 55, or 89, though these petals are often arranged so densely that counting them individually requires patience and attention. The evolutionary advantage of these Fibonacci petal arrangements is subtle and multifaceted. The number of petals influences how the flower opens and closes, how pollinating insects can access the flower's reproductive organs, and how the weight of the petals is distributed around the central disc. A flower with 13 petals distributes its weight differently than a flower with 21 petals, and these differences affect how the flower responds to wind and rain, how it attracts pollinators, and how it positions itself relative to the sun's rays. Imagine plucking a daisy, as you may have done in childhood, removing petals one by one while whispering a wish or a question. What you were doing, without knowing it, was moving through the Fibonacci sequence, through 34 or 55 small mathematics lessons, each petal a number in an infinite series. In many flowering plants, the petals are not the only structure that follows Fibonacci patterns. The stamens, the pistils, and the sepals often display these numerical relationships as well, like Russian dolls or recursive functions, each level of organization following the same fundamental mathematical principle. The ancient Greeks and Romans were fascinated by flowers and their properties, observing their forms and colors with meticulous attention. Yet it was not until the 19th and 20th centuries that botanists and mathematicians combined their insights to recognize the Fibonacci patterns embedded in floral structures. This recognition transformed the simple act of observing flowers into something more profound, a meditation on the intersection of mathematics and beauty, on how the laws of physics and the principles of optimization naturally generate forms that move and inspire us. As we continue our contemplation of how nature organizes itself, we arrive at a concept that deepens and enriches our understanding: the idea of fractals, of patterns that repeat themselves at every scale, of self-similarity that persists whether you are observing something at high magnification or from great distance. The Fibonacci spiral, in its perfect logarithmic form, is a fractal. It looks the same whether you zoom in or zoom out, whether you observe it at the scale of millimeters or kilometers. A broccoli floret demonstrates this fractal principle with almost perfect clarity. If you break off a single floret from a head of broccoli, that floret is itself a smaller version of the entire head. If you break off a piece of that floret, you find another even smaller version of the same overall shape. This self-similarity at multiple scales is a hallmark of fractal geometry, and broccoli's structure is one of nature's most easily observed and most visually striking examples. Hold a piece of broccoli in your hand and marvel at this recursive self-repetition, the pattern repeating at every magnification, each smaller part echoing the shape of the whole. The Fibonacci sequence underlies these fractal structures because the mathematical rule that generates the sequence is itself a recursive rule, a rule that calls upon itself again and again in an endless process. This recursive nature naturally generates structures that display self-similarity, that look similar to themselves at different scales. Coastlines and river systems, when viewed from above on maps or satellite images, often display branching patterns that approximate Fibonacci sequences. A river's main channel splits into tributaries, which themselves branch into smaller streams, which branch into tiny rivulets. And at each level of branching, the pattern tends to follow mathematical principles derived from the Fibonacci sequence and the golden ratio. The reason for this is that rivers and streams develop their branching patterns through the process of water erosion, where water flows downhill and carves channels into the landscape. The optimal path for water to flow from a hillside down to a valley involves branching patterns that distribute the flow as efficiently as possible, and these optimal patterns naturally approximate Fibonacci structures. Over millions of years, Erosion gradually sculpts the landscape into these mathematical forms, as though the Earth itself were solving an equation written in water and stone. Lightning bolts, those terrifying and beautiful manifestations of electrical discharge, also display fractal branching patterns that often approximate Fibonacci principles. The main lightning channel branches into smaller secondary channels, which themselves branch into even smaller tertiary channels, and the overall pattern resembles a fractal tree, with the branching angles and relative sizes following mathematical principles related to the Fibonacci sequence. This recurring theme, that optimal solutions to problems of growth, distribution, and efficiency naturally generate Fibonacci patterns at all scales, suggests that we are observing not random coincidences, but rather fundamental principles of how nature solves problems and generates form from the basic laws of physics and chemistry. The universe, it seems, is not arbitrary in its preferences, but inclines naturally toward these mathematical harmonies. It might seem surprising or even impossible that evolution, the process of random mutation and natural selection, could give rise to structures and patterns so mathematically precise as the Fibonacci spiral and the golden ratio. Yet, when one considers the profound advantages that these patterns confer, the precision with which they optimize resource distribution and growth, the advantage becomes clear. Evolution is not random in its results, though it is random in its mechanisms. The mathematics of optimization tends to drive evolution toward solutions that can be described and understood through mathematical principles. A plant that arranges its leaves according to the golden angle will receive slightly more sunlight on average than a plant that arranges its leaves randomly. A plant that packs its seeds in a Fibonacci spiral will be slightly more successful at dispersing them evenly, slightly more likely to produce offspring that survive and thrive. These slight advantages, compounded over thousands of generations, accumulate into a strong selective pressure that drives the evolution of plants toward these mathematical patterns. Natural selection is thus revealed as a process that tends to discover and implement mathematical solutions to biological problems. The fact that these solutions often involve the Fibonacci sequence and the golden ratio does not suggest that nature is conscious or intelligent in any human-like sense, but rather that mathematical principles of optimization transcend the specific medium in which they operate. Whether the medium is growing plants, flowing water, or flying insects, the same mathematical principles tend to produce elegant and efficient solutions. Over evolutionary time, this process has generated an astonishing diversity of forms, some displaying obvious Fibonacci patterns, others displaying the principles more subtly or in modified forms. The fact that the pattern persists across such diverse organisms and at such disparate scales suggests that we are observing something fundamental about how matter organizes itself, how growth proceeds, and how optimization operates in biological systems. The beauty of this understanding is that it removes nothing from our sense of wonder and awe at the natural world. If anything, recognizing the mathematical precision underlying natural patterns deepens our appreciation, revealing that the universe is not merely beautiful, but beautiful in ways that engage both our aesthetic sensibilities and our rational, mathematical understanding. The mystery does not diminish when we glimpse the mathematics behind it. Rather, the mystery becomes deeper, more profound, and more marvelous. As we draw toward the conclusion of our journey through these mathematical territories, we arrive at the most profound realization, that the Fibonacci sequence and the golden ratio represent not an ending but a beginning, not a destination but an eternal unfolding. The sequence continues infinitely, each number generated according to the same simple rule, extending beyond the largest numbers we can comprehend into realms of magnitude that dwarf our understanding. The contemplation of infinity has long held a special place in human consciousness, a territory where mathematics and philosophy merge, where the rational mind brushes against the mysteries that transcend rational understanding. The Fibonacci sequence, infinite and boundless, embodies this quality. Each new Fibonacci number is larger than the last, yet each is generated by the exact same rule as all the numbers before it, suggesting an eternal principle that does not change, that does not tire, that does not require adjustment or correction. In nature, we see evidence of this infinite principle manifesting in the finite world. A plant grows according to the golden ratio, not because it has decided to do so, but because the chemical signals and genetic instructions that guide its growth naturally generate this proportion. The forest around you, with all its trees and flowers and spiraling pinecones, is the visible expression of this hidden infinity, the eternal principle made temporary in wood and leaf and seed. The Fibonacci spiral itself, the perfect geometric form derived from the sequence, has a special property. It can spiral infinitely outward, and at any point along its length, the tangent to the spiral creates an angle with the radius at that point that remains constant. This property of constant angle makes the spiral self-similar at all scales, a fractal that could spiral outward forever, becoming larger and larger, or spiral inward forever, becoming smaller and smaller, yet always maintaining its essential shape. Return now in your mind to that forest where your journey began, to the pinecone warming in your hand, to the gentle sound of the distant stream. Know that the pattern you have traced through these chapters is not a distant abstraction, but something intimately present in every growing thing around you, in the very world that holds and shelters you. The spirals continue their patient rotation. The seeds arrange themselves in their geometric perfection, and you, warm and safe, are part of this eternal, unfolding beauty. Allow yourself to relax more deeply now, knowing that these patterns will continue their work whether you observe them or not, whether you remain awake or drift gently towards sleep. You have journeyed through the mathematics of nature, and now you can rest in the knowledge that you have touched something real and eternal, something that has existed since before time began keeping score. Let your mind become quiet now, as peaceful as a still pond where the last light of evening is reflected in mirror-smooth water. All around you, visible or invisible, the mathematical patterns you have contemplated continue their ancient work. The flower blooms in the garden, the seed spirals in the pinecone, the roots of trees spiral downward into dark earth. In this moment of approaching rest, you might imagine yourself standing in that forest again where our journey began, turning a pinecone slowly in your hands, feeling its weight and texture, tracing its spirals with your fingertips. The evening is drawing in, and the light is softening into darkness, and the patterns that guide growth and form continue their work all around you, in the soil, in the trees, in the sky above, in the spaces between stars too distant to see. The Fibonacci sequence continues its infinite unfolding, and you, too, are part of this pattern. Your body contains spirals in your blood vessels, in your lungs, in the very DNA that encodes your being. The golden ratio is writ not only in flowers and pinecones, but in the proportions of your own face, in the relationships between your fingers, in the mathematics of how your limbs are organized around your body. You are not separate from these patterns, but woven into them, a participant in the same mathematical music that harmonizes the entire universe. This thought, this recognition of your place in a larger pattern of order and beauty, is deeply comforting as your mind begins to soften and release its grip on the day's concerns. You too are spiraling, growing, organizing according to ancient principles older than memory, principles that care for you even as you rest. Feel the warmth of your body beneath the covers, the gentle support of the pillow beneath your head. Your breath moves in and out, following its own rhythm, part of the same patterns you have contemplated. The pinecone from the forest lies nearby, its spirals silent and patient. The mathematics of beauty continues its eternal work, and you are safe within it. Let your awareness drift now. Let the patterns fade like stars behind clouds. Let your mind become as peaceful as a still forest at night, where nothing moves but time itself, and everything is exactly as it should be. Rest now, knowing that you are held within an order more beautiful and more perfect than you could have imagined. Sleep comes gently, like the evening itself coming to the forest. Sleep comes as naturally as a seed spirals, as inevitably as the golden ratio, as peacefully as the Fibonacci sequence unfolding toward infinity. Your journey is complete. You may rest now. End of narration. Word count, 5,718 words.